All right, Revelation chapter 13, starting with verse 11. Here we go. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast, or to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
All right, so just a quick review. The beast in verse 1 we said was the Antichrist, and the beast in verse 11 we said was the false prophet. So we've got the Antichrist and the false prophet. We're going to meet another character as you have here as we read this evening. And so we'll start in verses 13 and 14. I'm going to read some stuff that I have, and then we'll discuss 13 and 14. If you would, Debbie, read 13 and 14 for us.
And he did astounding miracles, even making fire flash down to earth from the sky while everyone was watching. And with all the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast, he deceived all the people who belong to this world. He ordered the people to make a great statue of the first beast, who was fatally wounded and then came back to life.
All right, I'm going to slowly lead this, and we'll get to your first video, Pastor James. The false prophet is able to do some miracles, and I got down some magic tricks. Some of what he's doing is real, and some of what he's doing is deception. I said he's able to deceive people. Deception. John, seeing this and writing about it, knows that there were satanic miracles and magic tricks done by Satan and his prophets in the Old Testament. So even though John sees it here, he cannot tell, and we cannot tell, what is real miracles or what is just deception. The statue, probably I got here, built in Jerusalem, and maybe even placed in the Holy of Holies in the temple. Okay, it's 15. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about John. Now, John knows about Moses. He knows about Aaron's rod. He knows about the snakes. He knows about the deception that Satan has, the tricks and the deception that Satan's pulled. And he knows that some of these things are real and some of these things are magic tricks. So it says here, one of the things he said, he was astounding miracles, even making fire flash down the earth from the sky while everyone was watching. See? And of course, with this deception and with all the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast, he deceived all the people who belonged to this world. Didn't deceive the people that were Christians now. Didn't deceive the people who belonged to God. But he was able to deceive the people who belong to this world to the point that they said, oh, how wonderful, how marvelous, all the wonderful things he's doing. So I want to go here with a video, a short video. I want you to watch this short video. Then I want to get some descriptions from you guys, because remember, John seeing this stuff for the first time. Some of this stuff we can look at and it astounds us. Think about John, who never saw an airplane or never saw a car or never saw anything. So let's look at this first thing here.
You might have to end media shot if it's still up.
Might have to end something to get this. Take your time. We're no rush here. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Now, you guys describe this thing here to me.
So cool.
Look at this.
It's so
Hear what this kid says real quick.
What do you say?
Okay, let me show you something right now. On this over here.
I mean, they love it, don't they? It's the coolest thing. Turn up a little bit,
We
Chip.
see it as a physical object. It sees it in terms of data.
That is awesome.
It can read the height.
Imagine they made one that was unfriendly.
There you go.
You go after
Bring it into
them.
right
Robots are real.
Imagine if they made one that was like unfriendly. I mean, even the kid, that quick.
So now, okay, we'll just ask you out there, what is that?
Scary.
Scary? Yeah, it is scary. What is it? Anybody? What is it?
A beast.
A beast?
Yeah, a beast, scary, good. That's good. That's good answers. What do you say, Debbie?
You say the dog.
You say it's a dog. You know, so Debbie says it's a dog, okay? Okay, so Chip, you got something?
What would you call that?
What would you call that?
Something else for Star Wars.
Star Wars?
Futuristic, huh?
Futuristic Star Wars. Now you imagine this of course is, if I'm saying it right, a robotic dog. But it's a robot. Now, to us, even to us, we see a robot, a robot dog or whatever that was. I think that's what he tried to. Even to us is kind of astonishing. Now you imagine John, the Revelator. He is writing and he sees this statue. Was it a robot? Was it some kind of robot? It spoke. It said things. It did things. So now remember, just 100 years ago, the people that was teaching Revelations couldn't say what this was. They could only say it's a statue, I guess. I don't know what it is, Now John knew what statues were. He saw statues. They'd been built statues all over the place. The Romans had statues, the Greeks had statues. They had all kinds of statues. So he sees this image of a man, and he speaks, and he walks, and he moves, and he makes commandments. I'm not saying that what John saw was a robot, but it could very well have been a robot. Look at that. Look at that robot right there. I mean, that's kind of astounding. You look at that. I mean, how would you, if you saw that, if someone brought one into the church, what would you think? Get that thing out of here. Yeah. But, again, go ahead, Debbie.
I was just thinking of, it doesn't have a head, so it looked really weird. If they had a little doggy head on it, then it would look more friendly. This didn't have a head, so it didn't look friendly at all.
Right.
But imagine if it could speak with the lasers that Pastor showed us the other night.
Yeah.
And if somehow that thing went around and it projected a voice using lasers or whatever, and here it was this robotic thing, and it could talk, that's just weird.
And again, yes, the pastor said the other night how this laser thing spoke, made sounds. I think it was a drone, wasn't it, that was speaking, or whatever it was that was speaking, and it was saying, you get back or you're going to be under arrest, or whatever the case may be. And you see all the kids, the little kids just loved it. You imagine someone makes a statue, and now it's instead of a statue, it's a robot. Someone makes this, and the people just love it. But even the little kids said, well, what if they made it mean?
Yeah.
What if it wasn't friendly?
Yeah.
What if it was a bad robot? A bad statue. And so there you have it. So again, you got to put yourself in John's shoes. And I mean, Debbie described that as it was a dog-like. But it's hard to describe what that was. It's hard for us to describe what I saw this robotic dog, and who knows what the price of it is, several thousands of dollars. And you say, well, what was it like? Well, it was, I don't know what it was like, Now imagine, if that thing could speak, if it would take commands, set, roll over, play dead, whatever. What if it could shoot fire from its mouth? Or what if it had a weapon on it? Or what if it had some kind of camera where everywhere it looked, people could see what you were doing?
That one does.
Oh, that dog does that? That robot? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I see. I'm getting ahead of myself. See,
That one's based off of some military technology that already exists. It's the same concept, but it's very interesting. It's made for the military so they could use it like a pack mule and load it down with a lot of weight, so they didn't have to carry the weight. They could carry gear or somebody or something, in or out of battle. But it's really neat if you look at some of the old stuff. That one included. That one won't fall over. It's made to right itself. It's made to keep itself stable. But the ones in the military, they beat that thing half to death. Kicking it and hitting it with sticks and baseball bats or whatever, and just trying their best to damage it as they would come out into the field of battle, things it's going to come up against. And I can imagine John, if he saw something like that happen, he would say, I don't know what it was, but it was indestructible. Because the videos show it gets back up every time. No matter what they do to this thing, it gets back up consistently. It gets back up and it's right back, ready to go. Keeps moving. It's unstoppable is what it would seem like. I don't know, thousands of years ago, if you've never seen this technology before, and then all of a sudden you see people attack it and it just gets up and walks out of the hole or goes up the steps or walks around things. It's smart enough to maneuver with whatever in its way. And again, no matter who does something to it, it just gets right back up. It rights itself and keeps moving. So I can imagine what he would think. But yeah, that one has the ability to see. You can watch where it's going. You can send it places and see what's in there. And it's pretty neat. Scary. I watched other videos. It was introduced to real animals. It was introduced to some people, and it was. Some people thought it was great, like the little kids, and other people were immediately terrified. The dogs were terrified of it. They didn't like it.
yeah.
They didn't know what it was. But it's just interesting technology.
And you see here that we know about remote control. We know how you can control the drones and how you can control little remote control cars. So when you say the devil had complete control of this statue, well, okay, now you can see why. It's very easy that the devil had complete control. If the Antichrist or if the false prophet had a hold of that remote control, and this statue was a robot, I'm just giving you food for thought, and you had a screen there, a computer screen, so everywhere the robot looked, you could look on that screen and see what he was looking at, see what was going on. You wouldn't have to be right where that robot was. You could be literally miles away and still be complete control of that robot. I don't know how far a drone can get away from you, but why you can control the drone. So the technology is here today that someone could control a robot and speak through the robot, using voice, speak through the robot, have the remote control the robot, and if the robot had any weapons on it, then you could use those weapons. If you could shoot fire, you could do all kinds of stuff. John sees this. Remember, we know a little bit about technology, but John didn't know anything about it. But he's going to report what he sees. He's going to do what God told him to do. He said, write down what you see, John. And so John is writing down what he sees. So, but just think 100 years ago, the great evangelists that we had 100 years ago, great ministers, they didn't know what a robot was either. They didn't know what remote control was either. They didn't know what viewing a computer screen was either, see? But now we see that, we have that technology that we can see that, hey, he could shoot fire out of that robot. He could shoot you with a gun out of that robot, I mean, he could shoot you with a laser. I mean, that robot could do a whole lot. And you can see why, if that robot told you to stop and you didn't stop and he shot you with fire or shot you with yeah, that's a good one.
Is that the future animal? Is that what that is? Yeah.
Oh, it's the snake.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at that. See? He could shoot you with a bullet. Look what fear you'd have of that statue robot. See? Very good. That's another one. Can you get one to shoot? that guy's got some kind of weapon there. I don't know what it is, but now you think you're John the Revelator now, and you see this thing. How are you going to describe it? Well, it's a statue. and it does what the beast tells it to do, and it can shoot you. It can kill you. I mean, so there, the technology is there. Okay. All right, Debbie read 13 and 14. If you would, Sherry, read 15.
He was then permitted to give life to the statue so that it could speak. Then the statue of the beast commanded that anyone refusing to worship it must die.
Okay, so here we go. So here we know that there's great deception taking place, for only God can give life. John is writing what he sees. He also knows there's great deception taking place, but is reporting what he sees. If you don't worship the beast, you must die. You'll be tortured, maybe thrown into a fiery furnace like the three Hebrew children, forced to worship the beast or die. So there you go. So now we know great deception's going on. So, okay, so let's keep on the same theme we was on. It said, so we'll just think about what. And he was then permitted to give life to the statue so it could speak. What about that?
Have the other one turn on.
And the other, okay, so how would you give life to the statue? If it was a robot, how would you?
We say just turn it on.
Turn on, put a battery in it, turn it on, it'd be battery operated, yeah. I mean, he was able to give life. Well, now we know only God can give life. So you know great deception is going on. Now, you think that God gave Satan the ability to give life to the statue? Now, God could do that now. I'm not saying God didn't do that. God can give that power to anybody he chooses to give it to. So you think that God gave power to Satan so he could give life to the statue? Well, maybe, but maybe he just put a battery in the robot and turned it on. Hit the remote control the on button, see? So, again, we know there's great deception going on here. So John is seeing this statue, and he sees that somehow, was it Satan or the Antichrist? He was then permitted to give life to which one was. Somehow, the false prophet was able to give life to the statue, and so John's writing what he sees. But now we know the technology is here today. Man, you can hook something up to electricity. You can put a battery in something. You can hit the on button, and you can hit the off button. You have a little remote control car. That remote control car goes around, and you want to stop it, you just hit the off button, it's off. And someone could say, well, you gave life to that car, and you did by hitting the on button.
We're trying to do that right now with that back screen and hitting the on button, and many times it won't come on.
Sometimes technology fails you.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So you wonder about these things. Is it the technology or the operator? I just don't know.
Oh, boo. Boo, boo. When COVID hit really bad,
Go ahead.
we had a lot of cities, major cities, in population major cities, that their authorities, police, whatever you want to call it, used drones to tell people when there was a curfew, go inside or you'll be arrested.
That's right.
And they sent the drones out, little flying drones, with a message. Other ones, they put heat guns, if you will, on it to read people's body temperature to tell if somebody was running a fever. And then if they were running a fever, it'd stop, halt, and the authorities would come and see what was going on. So we saw that happen during COVID back in 2020. And we know, I just throw this out there, we know that most technology that we have in the commercial market today is based off of old military technology. When the military stumbles on it, it's a good 15, 20 years before they give it to the public, so that they're going to be ahead of us. So our drones that we can go to the Walmart or supermarket or wherever, on Amazon, whatever, and buy right now are nothing in comparison to the drones the U.S. military is using, that they can send out off of a ship in the middle of the ocean and fly over some country and have some little teenager control it with his joystick, back in Washington somewhere. I mean, it's unreal the things they can do, and they've had this technology for so long. unmanned planes, even right now to this day, not just drones, but full-size planes that they can do. So there's so much going on that as soon as somebody in the commercial world buys something that the military thinks they want, or invents, something that the military wants, they scoop it up and buy it quickly, if nothing else, just to put a lid on it. So I imagine, looking into the future of what we know, this will be impressive even to the people that are alive in that time, enough to be fooled, because it's technology they haven't seen. Like, again, I showed you guys lasers that could talk. We're watching a dog, but that's based off of years old military technology, and yet that dog has his own YouTube channel. I mean, that's Scrappy, I believe, is the one. I don't recommend watching it. Anyways, but it's just so much that we see that we're in amazement of now, but the military's had this technology and they're moving forward with it so much so I don't know what they'll have then, but yeah, it would seem like the man that's in power would be the Antichrist, is going to be in control of all world government as well. We read that everybody's going to give him his power, and then you have the prophet. And listen, I need to get these people in line. What can we do? Well, what better than the world religion to step in and say, "Oh, great whoever, do this," and all of a sudden this beast has life enough at least to be able to speak, and then to tell people, worship this fellow. If you don't, the penalty is death. I mean, to think how harsh that's going to be. And as crazy as it sounds, everybody's going to listen. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to do that. We need to do that now. I mean,
that's right.
I was in the mall today, and masks were mandatory. But if you're in the food court now, you can have masks off as long as you want to. As weird as it sounds, COVID doesn't reach you while you're sitting down eating a sub, but it'll reach you if you're over here shopping for tennis shoes or jewelry or something. And everybody just goes along with it. Nobody questions it anymore. It's just whatever. Yeah, fine. If that's what I got to do to live, it's fine. And to get back to normal, I'll do whatever I need to just live a normal life. So we're seeing that in our day now, but if we put that mindset into where we are with chapter 13, it's real easy to see how the people of the earth, as it says, will be fooled or deceived, or they'll just flat out go along with it. And it's sure, that beast, it's alive.
Yeah, right.
But I worship, sure, don't come after me. So
that's what I'm saying. I mean, people put on a mask, do this, not just the United States, not the whole world's falling in line with what we're told to do. We just get right in line and do what we're told to do. I was talking to one of my grandsons today. I guess I'll be careful because we're on video here. He goes to a major university. I mean, a great university. And so he was talking to me. He was going into the rec center of that university, and he stopped while he's talking to me on Marco Polo, and another Marco Polo, that's another great thing. Stopped, and he put his face down in front of this machine, and he was there just a second, and then he got back up. And I thought, what's that? And he told me, he said, Granddad, they have to scan my eyes to open the door so I can go into the rec building.
Safety, all in the name of safety.
If you're not in the system and they don't scan your eyes, you can't get in. And they know who's in and who's not in, and when they come in and when they don't come in. My grandson, I was sitting there, I thought, I'm going to be, someone's going to read 16, 17, 18, and right in front of me stopped, put his face down there, scanned his eyes, opened the door, and he opened for a minute or whatever. He went in, closed the door behind him. Wow. So that's the prelude to, I guess, back to Debbie. If you would, read 16, 17, and 18. Wow. Because we're going to change from religion to business here. Okay, Debbie.
Okay. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or on the forehead. And no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, His number is 666.
And I'm going to read what I've got down here, but I want to say, Pastor James talked about the police using the drones. You see how it's ushering in what the Antichrist is going to do? See, I wanted to read that part. I wanted to read that part first before I made a comment about it. But how technology is going to be used to get people in line. We had the drones, and then they was able to do things like take your temperature to see if you had a temperature. Maybe you got the coronavirus. My grandson's eyes were scanned. So here Satan moves from worshiping the beast in religion to being associated with the beast in business. You'll be given a number that in essence says you belong to the beast. Make no mistake about it. If you take this number, you're saying, I agree, or I worship the beast, I belong to the beast owns me. You'll be given a number that in essence says you belong to the beast. This number will replace all other numbers that you have. Social security number, driver's license number, credit card number, passcodes. You'll not be able to buy or sell without Satan's mark. No checking or savings account at the bank. No prescriptions at the drugstore. Not even permitted to enter into most places without first scanning your mark. Cash or gold or any other forms of currency will be useless. The mark identifies that you belong to Satan, and if you take that mark, you will not be allowed to go to heaven. No entrance into heaven with that mark. You'll not be forced to take the mark, but your life will be useless on this earth without it. To live on this earth without this mark, you would have to be solely dependent upon God for everything. Okay, now here we are, we're talking about the mark. So we'll look it over here real quick. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, babies being born at the hospital will be given a mark before they leave the hospital. Be given a mark on the right hand of the forehead, and no one could buy or sell anything without that mark. Anybody in here get a Social Security check? Sorry, Jim, if you don't get the mark, we can't give you your Social Security check. Now, if you need your Social Security check, just come and take the mark, and you'll get your Social Security check. What? I need my Social Security check. It's mine. It belongs to me. I put into it. Yes, of course it's yours. Just take the mark, and you get your Social Security check. Could not buy or sell without either the number of the beast, without either the name of the beast, or the number that represents his name now. This is going to represent the beast now when you take this number. Wisdom is needed here. Again, God tells him now, we need wisdom. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. I'm not going to get into the number. The number is 666. But remember, this number or this name that you have means you belong to the beast. You got prescriptions. Anybody in here take prescriptions? You need your prescriptions. They're paid for. You go to your pharmacy and say, I need my prescriptions. If they'll let you in the door without the mark. Let's say at first they'll let you in the door. Say, okay, Jim, we have your prescriptions ready for you. Let's scan your mark. Well, how do you get that? I don't want that mark. Well, I'm sorry, Jim, I can't get you prescriptions. Well, I need my medicines. Man, if I don't have them, I'll die. Well, just go get the mark now, and you can have your medicine, see? Not forcing you to take the mark. Go down to the grocery store, I need to buy groceries. You know, I go in there and I give them cash. No, Jim, to buy your groceries, now you have to have the mark. We'll just take it right out of your checking account. You don't have to worry about, nobody can rob you. Nobody can steal from you. Nobody can take any money from you because they'd have to scan your mark to get it. So if you just scan here and we'll just take it out of your checking account, and you won't have to worry about cash or anybody robbing you because nobody will carry cash on them anymore. Cash is worthless. Well, I don't have the mark. I'm sorry, Jim, I can't sell you any groceries, you know. And then it'll get to the point when we go to the store. What are we required to do when we go to the store now? Have to have a mask on, can't come in. Right? We're going to require you to have this mark. Now, Jim, you can't come in this store without the mark, you know. Now, and what's the penalty going to be? It might be at first a request, but after the while, what's the penalty going to be? It's going to be death. You try to get in that store, they're going to shoot you. You get in there without a mark, you're going to get shot. Okay? Oh, thank you. Now, I'm not saying that this is the mark of the beast, But look at the technology. John didn't see this technology. John saw a mark. Said it was either in the forehead or in their hand. Let me see here. In the right hand or on their forehead. It's either in their forehead or in their hand. When my grandson, when I take him to school, before he gets out of the truck to go to school, what do? They scan his forehead. Check his temperature. Now, if he's got the mark of the beast, oh, you can't go to school unless you have the mark. So now but right now, see, they're scanning his forehead, or he can't go to school. Checking his temperature. All right, you want to sort of tell us a little bit about this? Look at this one here. Look at this one on the tip of your finger.
There's a couple of these chips involved. Right now they're putting them right there in the little fatty tissue. But there's a couple. They got one that's going into your spine. They got one that's going into your brain. They got one that's going into your hand. They got a couple of them out there. Some are to send brain activity to the rest of your body. It's supposed to be helping out people with paralysis. It's a very neat thing. There's some that are supposed to be pain blockers that are supposed to block pain. So for those that are living with chronic pain, instead of taking medicine, they can put this thing inside their body and it'll mess with the electricity basically that's in your body. The ones that you see on the hand, though, those specifically are used for opening doors, buying items. They're basically your credit card, your employee identification number, all that kind of stuff. We know Amazon is dealing with using your palm print to check out at a couple of stores, and they're trying to make it faster and faster. Fingerprints, palm prints, etc. Already, the government is got the best facial recognition ID going on the planet, and they're using it, of course, to find people and catch criminals and things like that. So I don't know how long it'll be before we get that. They use it a lot at airports, so you don't even know it's there, but they know who you are and they know where you're at. So there's a lot of this type of software. The one that actually, the chip will leave a little scar, but there's some that is a tattooed ink that has code in it, and with that tattooed ink, you're able to basically do the same thing that a chip does. It's it's RFID, it's low frequency.
So you don't even need the chip, just the ink.
Yeah, they tattoo ink onto you, and it has the stuff in it. But again, they can put that stuff anywhere. So to see what John saw is either going to be on your right hand or on your forehead, and it was a mark specifically that he tries to say, a name, a number. These things are again just precursors.
Yeah.
Letting technology, like with drones, like with the dog, like with everything that we've seen. The mask spelled M-A-R-K. No, sorry, M-A-S-K. They're just precursors to things that we're gonna see come down the line. And you're gonna know. Don't be afraid if you're somehow left behind. You're not gonna be fooled into thinking, oh, this is just another form of a credit card or debit card or a social security ID. No, you're gonna realize without a shadow of a doubt that I'm either doing this or I'm not. This is a decision to be made. I heard you talk about babies. I don't know how that'll work. That's going to be very interesting to think about that. I was listening. We'll get off on a quick tangent.
Go ahead.
In another country, I'll say it lightly, in another country, they are encouraging their men in that country to have relations with the women in that country, because they said since certain things hit that country, such as social justice and feminist movements and things of that nature, here over the last almost decade, that the number of growth of babies has drastically decreased, and they're afraid that they're going to not have anybody left, that their population is vastly decreased. So I don't know. There's so many things that could come into play with how these things work. I've never seen that the news had to encourage men to have relations with women. That's just the craziest thing you ever heard. But we know with abortion, there's certain races that they're aborting more babies than they're birthing, and so their numbers are going down. We know there's so many things when it comes to the young that population control, population growth is a big it's a big part of these large organizations with vaccines, with ID 2020, with Planned Parenthood, with various different ones. We can call out a bunch of names, and their big thing is the environment over the people. I mean, that's really where it is. And it's all in the name of safety. It's all in the name of helping you and help save the planet and that kind of thing. So these are all just precursors. You know, don't be afraid. And again, you can't. If you're raptured out, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Be raptured out. Get saved today and don't worry about it. But if you're left behind, pay attention. pay attention. If you get a mark on your left hand, that's, again, just another precursor. We're just moving forward. The Bible's not going to be so far off. It's the right hand of the forehead. I mean, I do believe it's very, very specific there. There's so much, but go ahead. We'll finish.
But
Yeah.
the first time I came into any of this was years ago when I worked for Animal Control, and they was encouraging people to put a chip in their dogs or their cats, and if it got lost, then if we picked it up, we could scan that dog or cat, and the information in that chip would come up, and it would say this dog's name is Puffy or whatever, and he belongs to so and so, and this is the address, and of course, you know, it was a great thing. All these things are going to be great things, like you said. It's going to take pain away so there's going to be great things. It's going to do great things to encourage people to get to mark, and people are going to get used to all this stuff that's going on right now. Is getting us used to conforming and taking marks and doing these things and doing those kind of things. And I'm sure that there's people behind this that don't realize what they're doing. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't realize really what this is all about, because there's literally no pushback from anybody anywhere that I can find. Nobody's complaining about anything. Everybody's going along with it, and nobody's pushing back. But the great thing about this, and Pastor pointed out, and we want to make sure, if you're raptured out, if you're saved, you're a Christian, when the rapture takes place, you're going to be out of here, and you ain't going to worry about getting the mark of the beast, because you're not going to be here, see? And it's another reason why we need to get as many people saved, trying to get them saved, try to get them to the Lord, try to get them to church, because we don't want them to go through and have to make this decision.
That's a tough decision.
You know, am I gonna leave my baby in the hospital, and they can't release that baby to me until that baby gets the mark?
Right. Am
I going to say, well, you just keep the baby then? I mean,
or do a home birth, or do something that's dangerous to the pregnancy.
Out
in the field somewhere.
Hide. So all this stuff. I mean, just your mind can't think of all the things that's going on, because once you get this mark, that's it. You won't need any of you won't be able to get in your car to drive your car, because you'll have to have that mark for the door to unlock. Your car will not unlock. So you'll come up to your car, the door will unlock, and you'll get in it and you start it and drive away. And no one else is going to be able to drive your car but you, because you have to have that mark. If you don't have that mark, your car won't open.
I mean, you can just imagine the convenience of it.
Oh, yes.
You know, just the awesome.
You'll never lose your keys.
Yeah, you won't lock yourself out. I mean, you know how convenient it would be for all of these things. I mean, it's horrible, but I mean, I can see people saying, "Oh, this is the best thing."
Greatest thing in the world. Yeah, see?
So I tell you one that's happening right now in Israel. They're using their cell phones for a COVID pass. They're like a COVID passport. They're opening up other things in Israel besides grocery stores and gas stations. They're beginning to open up recreation centers, gymnasiums, pools, theaters, things of that nature. And I was watching one specific video today where if you go to the gym, you know, you had to have a little key fob to be able to get into the gym, a 24-hour gym. They give you a little key with a, well, right now, if you get your COVID pass and bring that in, that lets them know that you've had the vaccination, you'll be able to go to the gym and safely work out. If you haven't had it, you're not allowed in. You can still go to the grocery store and stuff, but you can't go to the gym. But once you show them that pass on your phone, they then download that information to your chip, so that then when you come anytime during the gym, 24 hours, that you can use your key fob in your chip and it lets them know that you've had your vaccine so that you can get in and work out without somebody having to be there. So again, it's just one more technology speaking to another technology to give you access to something that without it, you're not allowed to be in, you're not allowed to have. So that's just, and that's happening, I mean, this is right now in Israel, today, right now. So,
You know, I've had every year I take the flu vaccine. Now, when I worked at a certain job, I won't say a job I worked at, I was required. I couldn't work that job without taking the flu vaccine every year. I had to take it. I've had a pneumonia vaccine. I don't take that every year, but you take it however often you take it. But when I went and had the COVID vaccine, is that how you say it, COVID? They gave me a card. Said, here's a card, said you've been vaccinated. Well, I've never had a card before. I've took all kinds of vaccinations in my life, and no one ever gave me a card to say I've been vaccinated. And I thought, well, what's the purpose of this card? But you know, I took it. They gave it to me.
you don't need it.
That's what I'm saying. I took it. Yeah, there's a purpose. Your pastor said, there's a purpose for that card. I don't know what the purpose is, but there's a purpose for that card, see? And I don't know, maybe you won't be able to get on airplanes, or maybe you won't be able to fly. I don't know. But again, for those of you that are taking the vaccine, I didn't know this. You're getting a little card to say you've been vaccinated. And I'm thinking, well, why? I've never had a flu vaccination card or a pneumonia vaccination card or any other vaccination card that said I had the vaccination. You know, and then people would say, was you vaccinated for this? You know, you'd have to call your mom. Mom, did I get vaccinated for this? Yeah, I believe you did. Back all your brothers got, I mean, you know, that's the way it worked. But now you got a card that said you got vaccinated. Anyway, I mean, guys, we're going to go to chapter 14. And I looked at chapter 14. It's got all these characters in it. And my wife is right. I'm going to have to re-explain a little bit about each one of these characters. 14 is just a massive chapter. I thought to myself, it's going to take me a year to get through chapter 14. I'm doing my best to condense it down as best I can. We're getting all kinds of information now. John is really throwing all kinds of information at us. And each chapter has, in this chapter 13, we had the Antichrist, the false prophet, the statue, and the mark of the beast, all in one chapter.
Yeah.
These are the way these chapters are going to go now from here on out. There's going to be multiple things in each chapter, and it's going to be kind of tough to keep up. You may have to just rewatch the videos 2 or 3 times because it takes 3 or 4 videos to get through one chapter. And it is tough, but if you have any questions or anything, even if you don't want to ask them now, you see the video, please get the questions in for us, because I think I've covered it, and I think people understand it, and my wife, thank God I have a wonderful wife. My wife would say, well, Jim, you didn't say anything about this, or you didn't say anything about that. And I didn't. And I thought, well, I didn't. I mean, you know, I thought people knew that. Well, obviously not, you know. So please get us questions. I'm going to say this part here, but please like what you see, share what you see, subscribe to what you see, get the word out. If you was here, was it Sunday? I read the little thing from a lady from Texas that sent me a little thing about how she had rededicated her life to the Lord, and I mean, it was just a great little thing. So I'm sending about 20 of them. All these things, I'm sending about 20. And most of the time I get thanks, or that was nice, or a thumbs up. And they're telling me, that they're sending it on to other people. So get the word out. It's making a difference in people's lives. And literally there's people that had never heard this before, never seen it before, never tried to understand it before. And they get this and say, wow. I had one said, I've never heard of that in my life. And they've been Christians supposedly for many, many years. And of course, we have a few people say they're not going to church, whether it be because of COVID or for whatever reason, they're not going to church, but they're listening to our videos, and that is their church. Which, you know, I encourage people, go to church. You need to go to church. But if your church isn't opened, you know, if your church is closed, so we have a lot of people watching it, and this is the substitute they have for church. They're watching these videos. So get the videos out. Please get the videos out. Don't send any money. We just want to get the word out. Get the word out. It's so important to get the word out, especially now with all this stuff that's going on.